When expanding brackets, we need to be very, very careful of signs. We'll do an example here and I'll just show you what I mean. We know, looking at this, when we want to expand the brackets, expanding brackets means we're going to get rid of the brackets. So that's what expand doesn't mean to say make them bigger and bigger and bigger. It means we're going to get rid of them all altogether. So we know from the distributive law that A outside of B, now it doesn't matter whether it's plus or minus C, is equal to A B. We multiply the first two. If it's plus, we write a plus. If it's minus in there, we write a minus. You don't have both of them. We just have one or the other. And then the A is multiplied by the C. So that's the distributive law. We're going to apply this twice. We're going to apply it with the first set of brackets there, and then we're going to apply it in the second set of brackets. So the first set of brackets is fairly straightforward. 3n times n. The plus comes down, and then we do 3n times 5. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. Now what do we do with the second one? There are a couple of ways you can go about it, but it's as though we're going to multiply not by 6, but we're going to multiply by -6. So we can now say plus -6 times n squared. So if you like, minus is like a plus of a negative. So we could have written plus a -6 there, or -6. So I'm going to choose to do it this way. So -6 times n squared, the plus comes down, and then it's -6 times n squared. Sorry, 2n. Okay. So it's -6 times the last term, and the last term is 2n. Good. Okay, now we multiply out. 3n times n is 3 times n times n. N times n is n squared, so that's 3n squared. Plus comes down. 3n times 5 is like 3 times n times 5. You multiply the numbers together, 15n. Then plus. Now -6 times n squared is -6n squared. So we're adding -6n squared is the same. Adding -6n squared is like taking 6n squared. And likewise with this last one, we've got plus -6 times that will be like plus -12n. Adding -12n is the same as taking 12n. Okay, collecting like terms means we are going to get all the like terms together. Now there are two sets of like terms. These two are like terms because they have the same power and the same base. So we've got n squareds and we've got n's. So we've got 3n squared take 6n squared is -3n squared. And then combining these two together, we've got 15n takes 12n is plus 3n. Now it is common to try and write expressions in either ascending or descending. Ascending means the powers get bigger as we go left to right. Descending, the powers get smaller as we go left to right. And it's also common to try and write the first term as a positive. So if we do it in descending powers like this, we're starting with a negative. So let's just switch them around. It's just a little bit of decoration or icing. It's still going to be the same numerically, but there is a bit of beauty in mathematics, and we try and make things as nice as we can. So we put the try and start with a positive, and now we're going in ascending powers of n. So we've got n to the 1, n to the 2, and that way we start with a positive. This is still obviously 100% correct. Okay, so that's expanding brackets. Now what happens if we've got two brackets? So we've got A plus B, C plus D. So if we're going to multiply that, we've already seen with just a single term out the front there. Now we've got two terms in this bracket and two terms in that bracket. Well, what we can do here is to apply the distributive law twice. We can start with A has got to be multiplied by the second bracket, C plus D. The sign between there is a plus. And then the B has got to be distributed over the second bracket. And when we remove those brackets, we've got A times C, which is AC. And then the A has got to be multiplied, this plus comes down, and then the A has got to be multiplied by the D. This plus comes down, B times C, plus B times D. So that is the pattern when we're expanding brackets that have two terms in the first and two terms in the second. Okay, let's see how it all works. So if we have 3x minus 1 times 2x plus 5. Okay, so the 3x has got to be distributed over the second bracket, and then the negative 1 has got to be distributed over the second bracket. We can then use in the distributive law 3x times 2x. Now I'll, rather than write intermediate line like I did up here, rather than do that line, I'll just go straight to this line. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared, and then 3x times 5, this plus comes down, 3x times 5 is 15x, and then we've got negative times a positive. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x, and negative 1 times plus 5, a negative times a positive is negative 5. Collect our like terms. We've only got one pair of like terms there. There's no more x squareds, there's no more constant terms. So 6x squared, 15x take 2x is plus 13x, and then take 5. Okay, so don't forget to collect your like terms at the end. Now there is an acronym for a shorthand way of getting the answer, getting to this stage here, and it is called FOIL. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. And that's the order in which you do the expansion of brackets. So let's just put our original one up here. A plus B, C plus D. First means you multiply the first term in this bracket by the first term in that bracket. A times C is AC. Outer is the two outer terms, so that's first, outer, A times D. Inner are the two inside ones, plus BC. And last, so that's inner, and the last is the last of the first bracket, the last of the second bracket. So that's L, so FOIL, and that's BD. You can see that that's exactly the same as what we've got up there. It just means we don't have to do the intermediate step that we've done up there. What it does do too, it puts, if there are like terms, it puts them together. So let's have a look at just doing this example we did up here by using FOIL. 3x minus 1 times 2x plus 5. So we're going to use FOIL. So we do first, and we go 3x times 2x, and that's 6x squared. So that's first. Outer are the outside ones. 3x times plus 5 is plus 15x. inner, minus 1, negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x, and last, 3x times plus 5 is plus 15x. Sorry, plus, let's go back there, last. Last is the last in this one times the last in that one. Okay, so it'll be negative 1 times positive 5. Okay, so we've got our 6x squared plus 15x minus 2x is plus 13x, and then minus 1 times 5, negative 1 times, negative times a positive is a negative, 1 times 5 is 5. It's the same answers we've got up there, 6x squared plus 13x, take 5. FOIL just tends to be a little bit of a quicker way to get there. It also puts like terms, if they do exist, together. So expanding brackets, be very careful with signs. We can use the distributive law, and then when we've got 2 terms in the first bracket, 2 terms in the second bracket connected by a multiply, we can use FOIL, which is a technique, first, outer, inner, last. And if you have to draw the little lines on there, that's great, and less likely to make a mistake.